Okay, the live streaming is now enabled. Let me reshare. So here are the agenda items. The first one is the announcement of notation v2.0 alpha 1. And the second is to discuss the meeting cadence and also potential new schedule for Notary Project community meetings. The third one is to brainstorm on notation formatting output support. And another two topics are around the good first issue list and also the new issue created by E today. So Josh, before we get started, I want to see if any topics from your side or any questions.
No, nothing to call out.
Okay, thanks for the confirmation. If no other topics, we will start from the first one. It's actually the release announcement. Patrick, I'm not sure whether you are convenient to share or take a brief walkthrough on notation v2.0 alpha 1, as you just released this last Friday.
Uh, Freeman, please go ahead to go through the release note.
Okay, you would expect me to briefly share?
Yes,
Okay.
please. Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. So folks, we released the notation v2.0 alpha 1 last Friday, and you will see there's a major breaking change in this release because comparing with notation v1.0, v1.3, the notation signing behavior has been changed from using the OCI refers text schema to OCI refers API. Since most of the popular registries are now compatible with OCI v1.1 standard, that's the major reason that we changed the default behavior to using the OCI refers API to store the signature. However, if users still want to use notation with refers text schema, they can still use the force refers text schema, this flag, to change the default signing behavior. And also, another major highlight from this release is that we expanded the signing scope from images and OCR artifacts to arbitrary blob files. Since this release, users will be able to sign any arbitrary blob files in local file system. And we introduced a brand new command, notation blob, in this release. That means notation can be used to sign any arbitrary files, such as GitHub release assets, SBOM file, and any other arbitrary files in the local file system, and then use tools like Auras to distribute the arbitrary file with the signature to any target places. You can check out the release notes for details. We also supported Delta CLL during CLL certificate revocation checks. This is also a continuous enhancement for the CLL checking support. As this is still an alpha release, so breaking change may still continue introduced in this release. Stay tuned and please give it a try. So Josh, I know AWS has been quite interested in this release for a long time. So feel free to bring this release to AWS folks and see whether it works with AWS Signer plugin. If you have any feedback on this release, feel free to raise issues. We can triage and plan those issues for our next milestone, which is Notation v2.0 beta 1, and also improve the user experience in our next beta release. Last but not least, thank you. Special thanks all of the maintainers and contributors who contributed to this release. This is a brand new milestone to Notation project. Okay, so another thing that I would like to discuss and seeking feedback from the community. So here, as you may know that we now have the weekly meeting for the Notary project community meeting. And after the daylight saving time, the meeting schedule may not be very friendly to folks in US Central and also US East, right? So I'm thinking that we can have two different meeting schedules for people in different time zones. And also we have seen more and more engagement from community folks, especially from Shanghai, Beijing, and also from other countries like Singapore, India, and Australia. So I'm thinking that we can provide two different meeting series for community folks to accommodate people from different regions and time zones. And also considering to improve the meeting efficiency and also our asynchronous collaboration efficiency, we can also consider changing the cadence from weekly to biweekly. That is basically the idea, two ideas of rescheduling the community meetings and change the meeting cadence. Regarding the meeting cadence change, do you have any concerns or comments on this change?
Hi, Feynman. Those two links, so for maintainers, we just vote, right? We need to vote for.
Correct. Yeah, we will need maintainers to, not only maintainers, we would expect all of the community members, users can vote on these two different poll. Basically, the idea is to lower the meeting cadence from weekly to biweekly, and we can have two different series for people in different time zones. One for US friendly, another one for APAC friendly. Here are the two polls for these two meeting schedules. So we can vote on this schedule based on your preferred availability.
I just want to double confirm. So these two are the for the specific time, right? And do we have an issue for voting that we will lower the frequency from weekly to biweekly, I think.
Yeah, that issue has not been created yet. I'm thinking that we can create an issue to reach the agreement in the community. But at least for our regular attendees, I would like to seek your opinions of lowering the meeting cadence. I can go ahead and create an issue to seek opinions from other maintainers and also attendees.
Yeah, I think we first need to agree the frequencies, right? Then it is the specific time that for the two times within a month.
Yes. At least for our current attendees, do you have any concerns if we're lowering the meeting cadence?
I'm okay to switch to the biweekly. I just needed to take a look at the poll for the specific time.
Okay. I know Vani is in US East time zone, and last time we have several folks joined, some new guests joined, and I heard that some of them are in US Central and also US East. And also, recently we heard that Alibaba Cloud security team, they based in Shanghai and Beijing. They are also interested in joining the community meeting. And the ideal time for them is after 9:30 UTC plus 8. So that's a major reason that we want to have two different polls for people in two different time zones. Please vote on these two polls, and I will also create another issue to reschedule, to request our current, to lowering our current meeting cadence. Hey, Shui.
So does it mean for each time zone, it's actually a monthly meeting? It's not bi-weekly.
For each series, I think, yes, that is monthly. And but in total, they are bi-weekly.
Then I don't think it's frequent because, for example, I will attend the APAC friendly one, but I don't think I will attend the US friendly one because it's in my midnight. So
Correct.
for me, it's a monthly meeting. It's not a bi-weekly meeting. So, but currently it's a weekly meeting. So, in my view, it's we are changing the weekly meeting to a monthly meeting.
That's a fair point. Do you have any suggestions for the meeting cadence?
I would suggest to have the meeting not monthly but bi-weekly for each time zone. In total, it will be like a weekly meeting.
So the cadence is still, your suggestion is we still keep the weekly cadence, but have two different series to accommodate people in different time zones.
Yeah, that's right.
That is also a fair opinion. And any suggestions from other attendees?
I also have a question on the on how we define weekly and bi-weekly. Because here, you said the first Tuesday of each month. By that definition, the cadence might not be. I mean, let me see. Okay, because it's monthly, so it's okay. But if it's bi-weekly, we'll probably will not use that because sometimes you will see we have like because 1 month is not 4 weeks. A month is like 4.5 weeks actually. So there will be some differences.
Yes, but as you said, our current cadence for each series is actually a monthly basis. But in total, they are bi-weekly. Anyway, I think we can discuss the meeting cadence in the issue if we have different voices from other maintainers and attendees. we can make the decision if we definitely see attendees from different areas who want to join this meeting, and we want to keep our current cadence. Otherwise, if sometimes we don't have any agenda items, right, previously, so we have to cancel it several times. I think the meeting cadence can also be adjusted if we have seen more and more people join the community meetings from different time zones, and we can make the adjustment anytime. It depends on how many topics we have, how many attendees from which time zones in the future. But anyway, I will create another issue to discuss the meeting cadence. Okay, back to our agenda items. Here's the topic regarding brainstorming on the formatted output of notation CLI. This is one of the issues that we have been discussed before, especially during the triage discussion of notation v2 alpha milestone. But this issue has been moved to notation, I think, notation v2.0 beta milestone. And I find that there's no very comprehensive description in another two issues. So I created an issue as a parent issue and also included two sub-issues that were created by another two folks. You might be aware of that GitHub recently updated the GitHub issue functionality by supporting relationships. That means we can connect various sub-issues with the parent issues. So here, I find that there are two related issues regarding the formatted JSON output and also the scripting-friendly output. So I created this issue and grouped those two issues as sub-issues. So basically, the idea is to let notation support formatted output for automation and script-friendly scenarios. You may know that notation currently only support human readable text. That means users cannot easily parse the output from notation CLI to another third-party tools or CI/CD pipelines. This issue has been asked by the community, such as those two issues. Sorry, I will need to drink some water. As notation still lack of the capability to support parsing the output from notation CLI to other tools and CI/CD pipelines, I would like to propose adding formatted output support to notation in order to enhance its usability in scripting and automation scenarios. Through this functionality, users will be able to programmatically parse and consume notation commands results, and also enable seamless integration with automation tools, especially for those GitOps and DevOps tools. It will also standardize the output format to allow us align with other cloud-native ecosystem tools. So I think the most popular format might be JSON if you want to enable this scenario. And also, we have seen users want to use notation in some shell script. So here I want to brainstorming 3 major questions. The first one is to identify which notation command we want to provide formatted output. The second question is which data format, such as JSON, tree, table, and Go template for customization, should notation commands support? The third question would be which command should we start first, and which one should we put maybe after major work completed? So it's actually the priorities of supporting formatted output in the notation CLI commands. And also we have several commands which is still in experimental. So for those features, I want to see, should we deprioritize those features, those CLI commands for formatted output support? That is the questions that I want to bring to the brainstorming with maintainers and attendees here. Did I clearly clarify the purpose of this issue and also the major questions that I want to discuss? I can also share the issue link in our chat so you can read through this issue and dive into the details. Hey, Toddy, I just saw you joined.
Hey, Feynman.
We're just discussing one of the functionalities, support for the formatted output of notation CLI. And this is the issue that group 2 sub-issues that were created by another 2 users. So I want to have a brainstorming with attendees on these 3 questions. And also we can brainstorm on the scenarios. So maybe we can start from the first question. We can identify which notation command should provide formatted output. So let's say, for example, for notation sign command, currently the default output just output the signature digest and also the artifact digest. So in the notation sign command, after discussion with Junjie and Patrick, we are thinking these 3 fields are supposed to be outputted in the formatted output. And JSON output should be considered in our first iteration because we have seen users who want to parse the signature digest, the artifact reference to another command, such as notation verify, or pass to the CI/CD pipeline for further operation. So I'm thinking that these 3 fields as metadata can be outputted in notation sign command. This is also one of the most frequently used command from user point of view. The third field is referrals type. This is still a tentative field that we want to show to the users because we have seen a bunch of users who are not who may not be clear about which which refers type that the notation used to sign the artifact. Sometimes notation will use the refers type schema if they use notation v1 or v1.x release, right? That is the default behavior. And for notation v2.0 alpha 1, it changed to sign the signature, sign the release, sign the image and blobs using refers API. So I think it makes sense to output the refers type of the signature in the formatted output. AE?
Yeah, I think yeah, we just go went too much in the details. I think first of all, we should align that no matter I mean, it is actually the same content, but it will be shown in different format, right? For example, currently for the majority of the commands, we only support, I mean, the notation commands only support the text output, right? Some support the table format, for example, notation sort list. Some support the JSON format, for example, notation inspect commands. So first of all, we need to align that no matter which format we choose for the output, the content should be the same. For example, as you just explained that there could be three metadata or three property to be shown for notation sign output, but this should apply to not only in the JSON format, but also for the other format, for example, text format or table format. So all the information should be there. It is just that they are showing in different formats. I think this is one thing, and we need a general document to define this kind of strategy for the formatted output. The second thing is, I think the JSON format is quite important because it's most popular to be used for piping with other commands. So once we have a JSON format and also we define the metadata to be shown in the JSON format for each command, it will be very easy for user to pass the output and send it to another command as the input. Yeah, I think we can start with the general guide for the notation command output. Then we can maybe we can have a proposal for each command to define what will be shown, and all the content to be shown will be shown in different formats, for example, JSON or text. And we can, for other formats, for example, Go template, we can do that later on.
Thanks for sharing your comments, Yi. For your first point, should the default text output be aligned or be consistent with other formats such as JSON, table, and tree? I think not really. Maybe we can. My opinion is that we can make the decision based on the scenarios. For example, if the user needs a specific field for passing or for piping, we can maybe compose that field. For example, the artifact reference. Notation only output the digest of the artifact, but sometimes we will want the full reference of an artifact. That means we can have something different between text and JSON.
Yeah, for me, I think those data should be the same data, just in different format. Yeah, that's my opinion. The same data showing in different format based on the user's choice. And of course, we can give a default format if user didn't select anything.
If there's a metadata didn't show in the text output, but that has been requested in JSON format, how can we handle that scenario?
I think, for example, currently notation sign only output the reference, the digest of the container image, right? Or the OCI artifact. Later on, we want to add the signature. So that means there are two data there. So for these two data, we can output in text format and also in JSON format. That's my opinion. It's just the text format is more for the human reading, but for the JSON format, it can be used by the script or machine to process. Yeah,
Thanks for the input.
that's my opinion. I think there are some details we can discuss later, but I think it's better that we can have a general guide for the command. I think it's similar as you did for the ORAS project. Then after that, we can dig deeper into each command to see what kind of metadata we want to show.
Sounds good. I can go ahead and create a guidance, a general guidance as a whole for notation CLI formatted output support. So another question, as we still have some experimental features and commands in current release, such as notation blob signing, right? All of those subcommands like notation blob inspect, blob policy, and blob sign, blob verify, these commands are not stable yet and are subject to change, especially subject to breaking changes in the future. So I'm thinking that we can put this kind of experimental feature as our maybe future iteration, and we will not implement the formatted output for those experimental commands and features until they are stable. Do you have any concerns that on this proposal?
Yeah, I think those commands can be done later. We can start focusing on other commands first.
Okay, how about others?
Yeah, but I want to mention that for the blob, once it becomes stable, it's better that we can have it support at least two formats. One is text, another is JSON.
That's correct.
But currently it is in the alpha release, so we can put it a bit later to focus on other commands first. And I also suggest that for the commands that user already created some issue asking for more information, those commands will be a bit more important.
Thanks for the inputs. Hey, Josh, do you have any ideas? And also, have you ever received any requests from users regarding the formatted output support for notation CLI?
I don't think. No, I think most of our users are not really parsing the outputs. So I've been following along on this. I think the discussion so far makes sense to me. But no,
Okay.
we haven't seen any specific issues on this.
Okay, thanks for confirming that. So the conclusion here is that we will focus on we will first have the general guidance for the formatted output, and next we can dig into the details of each notation command and focus on the stable commands. For those commands still in alpha or in experimental stage, we will put them in our future iteration. Another question I want to bring up. So for notation sign and notation verify commands, these two are the most frequently used commands for notation CLI users, right? So I think definitely we can provide the formatted output for these two commands in our first step. In the future, when we exploring more scenarios and exploring more commands, such as notation key and notation certificate, should we consider supporting formatted output for these two commands? This is a question that we want to align and also want to see opinions from different folks. Because sometimes users normally configure the key and certificate before they trigger the CI/CD pipelines or before they running the script in automation scenarios, right? So I'm not sure whether notation key and notation certificate, those subcommands, are strong needs for formatted output support. Oh, maybe the screen share is disconnected. Can any others see my screen? You mentioned
Sorry,
that.
yeah, sorry. I think it is back now. It could be some issue on my side.
Okay.
So back to your question, I think we can discuss the priority of those commands. I think notation certificate is more important than key because as I know that for some users, they just use they just pass the ID through the notation sign command. So they didn't add the key first, then use the key name for sign. So I know some users, they use we have the flag dash ID for the sign command. And also for users, they are using notation CLI in the script. So they do not add the key each time. They just use the flag ID directly in the script. Yeah, but yeah, we can discuss those priority later on. But I think notation certificate command may be more important. I mean, from the formatted output point of view, are more important than notation key.
So which metadata of the certificate that users may want to parse to notation sign or other commands?
And not pass to sign commands. For example, for notation certificate list, we currently have a table view for showing and the trust store name type and the certificate file name. And those information could be useful for for example, notation policy command. Because in the policy, we needed to have the trust store and Yeah, I think, for example, for the notation block policy, we will have the initial command, right? It will use the trust store and the trust identity information. Those could come from the notation third command. Yeah, and also, for example, with current notation policy command, user need to create a JSON file, the trust policy JSON file first, and inside that JSON file, it could also use some variable that can get the value from the notation third output, something like that.
I see. Those variables seems can also be defined and passed through the environmental variables, right?
Yeah. So I think we can discuss the priority later on, but we can focus on first the proposal for the overall guidance on the command output. Once we align on that, we can create a subtask for each command. Then we can decide on the priority, which command to be should be focused first. I think notation sign has received some questions on asking for the signature digest. I think notation sign should be the first one.
Sounds good. And we also align that the JSON format should be the first data format that we're going to support. So the general guidance will also focus on the JSON format first, and then we can explore tree, table, and even Go template for several commands.
Yeah, I think we can start with the current text format plus JSON format first. And for notation list, we support the tree view.
I want to clarify that text format is normally not a part of the formatted output. That means we will not have a parameter for formatted output or the format flag, because by default, the standard output will be text format. And text will not be used to parse or piping purposes. Any questions regarding the formatted output support? If not, I will go ahead and create the general guidance for the feature, for the formatted outputs feature, and we can then discuss the detailed design experience and also the data format that we need for various command. But we will start from the notation sign and verify in our first iteration. Okay, I see thumbs up from Junjie. If no more concerns, we can back to the agenda list. So here's the information that I want to share. to help more and more new contributors get started, I created 2 issue lists. One is good first issue. Another one is help wanted issues. These 2 issue lists are intended for new contributors, especially for those who want to start their very beginning contribution journey with Notary project. I have seen 2 contributors who started with 3 good first issues last week. If we look at the good first issue, there's a new contributor. I'm not sure his name. It's a very, very strange ID. But the good progress is that he started contributing to these 3 good first issues since last week. So if you are creating new issues, and especially you identify that this is a low barrier issues for new contributors, you can use the good first issue label for those issues. Then you will find, then we will receive maybe potential interest from new contributors. They may comment that I want to start working on this issue. Can you assign it to me? Right. One of the example here is that this user comment in this issue and share his or her interest. Then we assign this good first issue to the user. For the help wanted issue list, I picked some issues in our future milestone. Those issues are marked as important but not urgent for our community. So I think we would expect that new contributors can take a look at those issues and see whether they can start from the help wanted issues. Help wanted means we are opening for contributors, and they may have some barriers to get the domain knowledge of notation and also the Notary project specifications. That's the idea of good first issues and also the help wanted issues. I will also add these 2 issue lists to our website and also the README to improve the visibility of these 2 issue lists. Okay, back to our agenda. There's another, also the last item from E to trash the issue 1226. E, do you want to start the discussion on this issue? Maybe give some context or background.
Yeah, I think yeah, this is the new issue, so I think maybe some maintainers didn't see it yet. Please take a look. The general idea is to for the blob COSI signature to support the COSI hash envelope. And there are some links here. You can check details on that. And I also did a simple comparison and also the benefits that we can get with the support of the COSI hash envelope. And this format is actually is from IETF draft proposal. It is not finalized yet, but we can start to discuss the support of this format. And also currently, because we are in the alpha release for the blob support, and we have the opportunity that to see whether we can adopt COSI hash envelope for our final blob COSI signature. Yeah, that's the purpose. And I also would like to discuss the timeline for the support. So maybe in our next, maybe in the because I checked the milestone, it seems that we don't plan another alpha release, right? It is a beta release. So maybe this could be a candidate for beta release. But please be aware that the IETF is not it's still in the draft version, not completed yet. So I think if we want to use this as our default or recommended signature format for user, we need to wait for the IETF to finalize the proposal. But we can start to, yeah, I also mentioned that we can start with the alpha or beta release to support this envelope so that we can start the integration with other projects or other users who also implement the cozy hash envelope.
Thanks for sharing the context. So I assume that support the cozy hash envelope for blob cozy signature will also require the notary project specification change, right? So ideally, there should be another issue to request a change in the notary project signature, especially the signature format spec.
Yes, we need to have the specification updated.
Quick question. So this is for blob only?
Yeah, for blob. For blob
Okay.
cozy signature only first.
Cool.
Later on, we can discuss the cozy signature for the OCI artifacts, but that could be a future work item. So I would suggest we start with the blob cozy signature first.
Cool. So Feynman, could you assign this issue to me, and we can continue the future discussion later.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will remove the trash label and also assign this issue to Patrick, as Patrick is driving the blob signing related feature.
Yeah, I think you can also put my name here because it requires the specification change.
Spec change.
Yeah, I can discuss with Patrick on how to do that.
Okay. You might be aware of that GitHub recently supported two properties in the GitHub issue list, in the GitHub issue page. The one is type. We can choose feature, bug, or task for the issue. Another one is the relationships. So actually we can have a parent issue that groups a couple of the sub issues under this parent issue. It might be more efficient for the project management because we can leverage these two issues to easily group a couple of issues in a certain type and also connect those issues with each other. Hey, Shui?
Yeah, just to mention that for the type, for example, for the bug type, we still need the bug label in the labels because in the milestone view, the type will not be shown.
You mean in the milestone list, right? The milestone issue list.
Yes, that's right. It won't show the type. It only shows the labels.
Thanks for the heads up. That's correct. We can only filter out a certain label in the milestone view. I guess this is because the type is still quite new in GitHub. So I think GitHub does not have a very comprehensive support for all of those features. They do have a few overlaps with the labels, but I think the type may provide a high level grouping feature for issues, and labels provide much flexible management for those issues. Okay, I think that's all of the discussion items. We have covered these 5 topics today. And also we are on time. Any questions?
No?
Okay, thank you everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I will update the meeting notes and upload the recording to the YouTube later on. Have a nice day, have a nice
you.
evening.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.